Hi, this is Kyle again, and it's time to talk about arrays in VB. This may be a review, but we're looking at it as it's related to VB, so hopefully it will still be useful. And this lines up with Chapter 8 in the textbook. Arrays can store one or more elements of the same type, and that's a critical distinction here. If you're reading through Chapter 8, you'll read about other kinds of collections, including some that allow different types, but that's not an option for arrays, and that's what we're concerned with at the moment. The length can be equated to the number of elements in the array. They also have default values, so when an array is declared and you haven't specifically initialized these elements, these are the values the array would hold based on its data type. In VB, you declare an array using an upper bound rather than the length. If you've been working with arrays in C#, you might be used to writing the length, but for VB, it's the upper bound. The index value of arrays in VB is zero-based. So here I've declared an array and initialized it here, and we're saying the upper bound is 99, which means with a zero-based array, there's room for 100 elements. Like I hope you do in other languages, you usually want the value for the upper bound to come from somewhere, so here we've declared a constant. That's a good practice. It's also possible to declare things this way as a way of documenting the lower bound. Assigning values is another place where the syntax differs between VB and C-like programming languages. Here we've declared totals as an array, and we've assigned values right away. There's no need to use the keyword new when assigning values in this manner. Here's an example of a string array, and here's a decimal array. In this case, it uses the new keyword. You've got the option. VB is not a very strict language, so there's usually more than one option for this type of thing. Personally, I'm perfectly fine with either way to assign these values. The thing to keep in mind if you're going to use the new keyword is that you are specifying the upper bound, and that means the number of values you're assigning has to satisfy this. Since the upper bound is 3, we must be careful to assign 4 values. Arrays that we use in VB and C# in Visual Studio come from an array class. That's pretty cool because there are some useful generic properties and methods that you would expect from an intrinsic class. And it's also nice because this is nearly identical between the .NET languages. Later on, we'll look at the getLength method and how we get the length of one dimension of a multidimensional array. Those are some highlights, but there's an expectation that you're also reading Chapter 8. There's lots of useful examples of declarations and accessing arrays there.